Hello ladies and gentlemen, Sigvaldo Green here, and it's official! Martian Manhunter is going to be the next character that will be released in Injustice 2 Mobile. And in today's video, we're going to try and figure out what fighting style he might have and what abilities he might have based on his kit back all the way in Injustice Gods Among Us. And we might think how it could transition in this game, how he could work, and what abilities he might have. So yeah, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe and let's get into it. So, all the background footage that you're going to see is going to be from the trailer of the Injustice 1 character release for Martian Manhunter. And as you can see over here, he's got a pretty interesting kit. He's like a Superman that can do much more. Like, of course, he does not have the level of power Superman, but in terms of superpowers, he's got most of the things that Superman has. He can fly. He has laser eyes, he can teleport, and that's pretty damn interesting. The laser eyes I don't think is going to play a huge part because it's at most going to be a ranged attack or a jump attack as well. And jump attacks and ranged attacks are not things that you usually use in Injustice 2 Mobile. The teleportation, yet again, I don't think might really play a role. The only role it might play is with a swipe back, like it might swipe back like Dr. Fate, because Dr. Fate kinda teleports when he swipes back. Raiden for some reason kinda teleports when he swipes back. Maybe we'll have a new arena glitch with his swipe back, where you can spam the swipe back as you do with Raiden to just win the fight by default. We'll see. The things, he also has some member enlargement, like he can increase the size of his arms and legs and stuff, and he can somewhat like make them very elastic, very like plastic, and like something like Plastic Man. I talked about Plastic Man in the last video, and he's going to kind of have all the things that Plastic Man has in terms of extending and enlarging his body. He's also able to phase through things like phase through the ground and phase through characters. The only thing that that might play a role, I think it's an aesthetic role and nothing else. Same with the members enlargement, like when he does a swipe right attack, he might have a higher reach because he extends one of his members. Next up, he has telekinesis. I don't think yet again it will be any interaction than at most visual, because in Injustice 2 Mobile we don't really have something like objects that you can really interact with in the game. And then there comes the very interesting part. He can transform into the enemy character. In the Injustice Gods Among Us, as far as I'm concerned, the only role that played it was an aesthetic role. When he used the super move, he kind of flexed a little bit. He was like, look, I can transform into you and you punch yourself. But other than that, no pure application. With this one, they might go all the way with this and make him able to transform in the enemy character. And that could be done in two ways. First of all, it could be a super move that you transform into the enemy character, and you are transforming into the enemy character for as long as you stay in the fight, and when you tag out you are back to Martian Manhunter and you have your own skill set. And while transformed in the enemy, you are going to have the skill set and the special attacks of the enemy, but your stats will remain the same. But the more interesting way, in my opinion, and the way that would be much more fun if they did, make it so that he's able to do this with his special tree, actually. Make it so that he's able to transform himself using the special tree into the enemy that's facing him at the moment. And then he is going to yet again revert back in by either tagging in and out or using the special tree again. And while he has that active, he will just copy the first and the second ability of the enemy, being unable to copy the third ability of the enemy, because that slot will be, of course, occupied by his own third ability. And that would create a bunch of interactions, and I doubt that they are going to do this. Because if they were to do this, they would need to kind of take care of all his interactions with every single character in Injustice 2 Mobile, and that might be hard to balance. But on the other hand, it's been a long time since we've got another character, so we're all bashing at NetherRealms, give us new characters. Maybe they were working on something very, very cool. But yeah, who knows? Other than this, a little bit about the state of the character. Like, he's most likely going to be a legendary. Like the last characters that we got released for a year at this point were legendary characters, and in a way it's okay for them to build the roster of legendary characters bigger, but at the same time make them easier to be gotten by the random players. How many of you got Enchantress? Enchantress is the newest released character in Just 2 Mobile. How many of you have her? Even better, how many of you actually have her and her gears? Even better, how many of you are actually using her? Like with this one, I really hope they make him easier available, though this is just hoping. It's most likely not going to happen, but we can only hope. And at the same time, I really hope they don't do a mistake of not making him viable in raids and soul raids. Because that's what they did with the Suicide Squad. With the Suicide Squad, they made them unavailable in raids and soul raids, and then they were not very popular. I honestly don't think the reworks on the Suicide Squad team and the release of Enchantress really were worth the money of the development that went into them, because they were simply not desired because of the fact that they were useless in raids and soul raids. And I'm not sure how they might make Martian Manhunter useful in raids and soul raids. We're going to just wait and see. It would be pretty hard to make him viable in raids and soul raids if it were to work with the thing of copying the enemy, because if you're going to copy the enemies don't really deal a lot of damage in raids and soul raids. Like, they deal a lot to you as a player, but if you were to kind of think about how much damage do they deal if they were to fight bosses, they're not going to do much. And you can see that if you try to use a reflect shield on a boss, and he's not doing that much damage to himself. So yeah, definitely interesting interactions if he shapeshifts into the enemy, but not sure how that will be reliable. But what's for sure is that he is most likely going to be a meta-human character. Like, with him you could argue, I guess, for Arcane and meta-human, but meta-human is the more likely variant, and we anyways don't really have a meta-human legendary, so all of you hoping for a meta-human Swamp Thing, well, rip. We ain't getting a meta-human legendary Swamp Thing, but we are getting Martian Manhunter. And I'm happy that we finally get an update. It's been a long time, and I'm really looking forward to finding more about the character, looking at the skill set, and discussing with you guys. So yeah, I really hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure you subscribe if you did, dislike it if you dislike it, comment down below with any questions that you might have. And by the way, I think I'm going to release tomorrow another episode of the Fresh Start series. Like, the day was very busy, I'm sorry, I know many of you were expecting it. And I'm not going to cheat, I'm going to count one additional day into the amount of days that I double the giveaway, because I did not post today. But today was just too much stuff to cover, so I'm sorry for that. But yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.